The laughter echoed through the glass-walled executive floor, sharp and careless, the kind of laughter that crushes hope without even noticing. In a building where decisions were worth millions, a janitor stood invisible, clutching a simple notebook that held an idea powerful enough to change everything. No one knew it yet, but within days, that ignored idea would stand between a billion-dollar empire and complete collapse. Before the story unfolds further, pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet strength of people the world overlooks, please take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel Lonely Dad Strong Heart. Your support keeps stories like this alive. The janitor's name was Samuel Reed, a man whose life had taught him to stay quiet, to keep his head down, and to work long hours without complaint. He arrived before sunrise every day, pushing his cleaning cart through silent hallways, polishing floors that reflected faces of executives who never looked down. To most people in the company, he was just part of the background, another uniform blending into the walls. But Samuel carried more than cleaning supplies. He carried years of experience, quiet intelligence, and lessons learned through survival. Years earlier, Samuel had been a financial analyst. Life had been stable, predictable, and hopeful until one accident took everything. His wife passed away suddenly, leaving him to raise a young child alone. Medical bills, emotional breakdown, and missed work slowly destroyed his career. The corporate world he once understood so well shut its doors without mercy. He took whatever job he could find, not because he lacked skill, but because he needed to survive. Becoming a janitor was not a failure to him, it was a sacrifice. Working night shifts had its own strange gift. Samuel overheard conversations in empty boardrooms, saw numbers left glowing on screens, and read reports thrown carelessly into trash bins. Over time, patterns began to form in his mind. He noticed inefficiencies, reckless investments, and a growing risk that no one seemed willing to acknowledge. The company, led by a billionaire CEO admired by the world, was bleeding money in ways hidden beneath confident speeches and shiny quarterly reports. Samuel started writing everything down. Numbers, projections, alternative strategies. He worked on his ideas during lunch breaks and late nights after putting his child to sleep. His plan was simple but bold. Redirecting a failing investment stream into a more sustainable, data-backed model that reduced risk while preserving long-term growth. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't ego-driven. It was careful, realistic, and rooted in experience. One afternoon, driven by desperation and hope, Samuel found himself standing near the executive offices, his heart pounding harder than it ever had while scrubbing floors. He had requested a brief moment to share his findings, believing that truth mattered more than titles. What he received instead was laughter. Not cruel words, not insults, just dismissive amusement. The kind that tells someone they don't belong in the room. Samuel returned to his work quietly. He didn't argue or defend himself. He simply folded his notebook and pushed his cart back down the hallway. That night, he questioned everything. His worth, his past, his decision to hope again. But when he looked at his sleeping child, he reminded himself that dignity was not granted by others. It was something you held onto, even when the world tried to strip it away. Days passed, and the company's situation worsened. A massive overseas investment began collapsing faster than expected. Stock prices trembled. Emergency meetings replaced celebratory lunches. The same executives who once laughed now stared at screens filled with red numbers. The projected loss climbed relentlessly, approaching $50 million, a figure large enough to shake even the most powerful confidence. The billionaire CEO, once calm and unshakable, felt pressure closing in from all sides. Board members demanded answers. Investors whispered doubts. Media speculation grew louder. Every solution proposed seemed rushed, risky, or driven by panic. Late one night, alone in his office, the CEO replayed moments from the past week, searching for anything he might have missed. That was when a memory surfaced. A janitor. A notebook. A moment dismissed too easily. Curiosity replaced pride. Internal records were checked. Security footage confirmed the encounter. The CEO ordered Samuel's proposal retrieved from the archived request system, expecting little but hoping for anything. What he found instead was clarity. The numbers aligned. The risks were calculated. The plan addressed the exact weakness now threatening to destroy the company. Implementation began quietly. No announcements. No credit given. Just action. Funds were redirected. Exposure was reduced. Losses slowed, then stabilized. Within days, projections shifted dramatically. The $50 million disaster was no longer inevitable. The company survived, not because of brilliance at the top, but because of wisdom from the bottom. Samuel continued cleaning floors, unaware of the storm his idea had calmed. Until one morning, he was called into an office he had never entered before. The same room where he had once stood silently, invisible and dismissed. This time, the atmosphere was different. Heavy. Respectful. Recognition came not with applause but with acknowledgement. The CEO saw not a janitor, but a man who had been broken by life and rebuilt himself quietly. A man who never stopped thinking, learning, and caring, even when no one noticed. Samuel was offered a role that matched his skills. A chance to return to the world he once knew, not as a savior, but as someone finally seen. He hesitated. Not because of fear, but because he understood something many never do. Titles did not define worth. Actions did. He accepted, not for validation, but for stability, for his child, and for the chance to prove that humility and intelligence could coexist. As weeks passed, Samuel's presence reshaped the culture. He treated interns with respect, listened before speaking, and never forgot where he came from. The company began to change, slowly but genuinely. People noticed. Stories spread. Not about a miracle idea, but about a reminder that brilliance often wears the most ordinary clothes. Near the end of this story, pause with me for a moment. If this journey moved you, if it reminded you that unseen people matter and quiet strength can change lives, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to Lonely Dad's Strong Heart. Your engagement tells us these stories deserve to be told. And before this story ends, I ask you personally, please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words matter more than you think. Samuel never sought revenge or recognition. He simply lived with integrity. The billionaire CEO learned a lesson worth more than $50 million. Respect is not about power, and wisdom does not announce itself loudly. Sometimes, it pushes a cleaning cart through silent hallways, waiting patiently to be heard. And maybe, just maybe, the real wealth saved that day wasn't money at all, but humanity.